checking list and turn it into the TSA. That just shows where America's gone. And they are doing this at a lot of events now and on the highways. And it's just all about the criminals treating us like criminals so they can get away with bloody murder. You know, our borders are wide open. We're going to talk to Glenn Spencer about it in a moment. But look at this headline out of the Examiner. TSA thought woman's back brace was a money belt and didn't listen to her and went ahead and jerked it off her body. Like, what is this? It's a colostomy bag. What's that, sir? I had a surgery. I used the bathroom into that. We're taking it off, and they actually rip them out of people. And then, I'm not trying to get gross here. That's what happened. Then it spills everywhere in front of everybody, and then the TSA screams at them and says, get behind closed doors. And then, we're strip searching you now, off of your underwear. You should have told me what that was. I mean, it's crazy how they act. Here's another one. Police employ border. I had a Freudian slip. I wish they were. Police employ Predator drone spy planes on home front, but not on our border, helping local police with surveillance, LA Times. Here's another one. U.S. protests boost sales and fears of sonic blaster, including microwave guns, sound cannons, and here's another one. Police to test laser that blinds rioters. Here's another one. Undercover cops spied on occupied L.A. in search of domestic terrorists. Oh, but it's not terrorism when Mexican troops kill people riding on jet skis or bass boats on lakes bordering Mexico. It's not terrorism to have these type of things going on. It's not terrorism to have MS-13 killing cops. 6 dead cops. You've got 3 connected to it, a couple with 3 Border Patrol, several of them absolutely confirmed, killed by guns, shipped into Mexico by the Attorney General, and he doesn't get in any trouble. It's unbelievable. And now UT says, no protest allowed on UT, period. We are God. You could protest just a few years ago. You can't get in to see the Attorney General in the giant auditorium that taxpayers paid for in a state school. We are your government. We are your God. If you have tickets, you have a responsibility to go to videotape on your iPhone, Fast and Furious, blood on your hands. He needs to be confronted. And if I can get tickets, I guess I'll go. They know who I am, boy, let me tell you. All right, shifting gears, Glenn Spencer is probably the premier hardcore reality-based individual who understands the mega foundations, the mega banks, the North American Union, the SPP documents where the government admits they want to shut down our borders and create one giant corporate state. And since then, they've announced the North American security perimeter. They've announced harmonization of all of our laws. It's been in the Washington Post that Mexican and Canadian troops will, quote, be used in America to deal with terrorists. At the Olympics, Mexican and U.S. troops were in Canada just last year. It's happening. This is insane. This is insane. Glenn Spencer, again, is an American political and illegal immigration activist, AmericanPatrol.com. And here's some of the articles he wants to get into. U.S. proposes unmanned border entry with Mexico to basically legalize everybody. And then it continues here. Police employ Predator drone spy planes on home front, but not to stop the open borders. Yeah, they're going to have checkpoints in the middle of Tennessee and Illinois, searching people's cars with the TSA out of their jurisdiction, violating every canon of a free society. Right out of Nazi Germany. It's not coming. They're now doing it. But they tell the Border Patrol they can look west or east. They cannot look both directions, and their main job is now picking up trash. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and go to Glenn Spencer. I wanted to preface it all with that. Before we get into the latest you're facing and those 2 articles, Glenn, what do you make of Fast and Furious? Because that ties into everything. We knew it was premeditated. Now it's hundreds of times worse than the media first said. They've been caught perjuring themselves, and CBS News got the documents. It was to blame the Second Amendment, as if we needed to have the documents to know that. Just incredible to see this, this Attorney General, this traitorous government. Glenn Spencer, your view on Fast and Furious.
Well, first of all, happy holidays. I was going to say Merry Christmas, but I was afraid you might be thrown off the air. How you doing? I take a different slant at this Fast and Furious.
Hey, Glenn, are you on a headset?
No, I have a handset stuck to my ear.
It just sounds really, really muffled right now.
I'm sorry about that, but, we're down here on the Mexican border. So.
No, I understand. I understand. It's just worse than usual. Talk right into that phone for me.
All right, I'm doing the best I can.
Thank you, sir. Start over.
All right. I take a slightly different look and slant and interpretation of Fast and held a press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., to prove that the Mexican drug war was started when we shut off the Goldwater bombing range to smugglers. And we had proof of it. And nobody would listen. And since then, I've analyzed the data, flown the border. Let me tell you something. The Mexican drug war was started when we shut down 2 of the major corridors that were available to the Sinaloa cartel. That got the cartels going to war with each other. But the United States government doesn't want you to know that, because the obvious conclusion, if you found out, was finish the fence and cut off the rest of the smuggling corridors. But they don't want to do that. They didn't want to blame the Mexican drug war on our fence. They wanted to blame them and divert attention to weapons. That's what this was all about. Everybody says it's the Second Amendment. That's partly true. But they're trying to blame us for the Mexican drug war when it was actually started when we cut off 2 major corridors. Now, you can go to AmericanBorderPatrol.com and watch my video, because I have flown that border from the Gulf of Mexico to San Diego at 500 feet with our aerial platform a number of times. And we watched that fence go in, and we watched what happened. But that's one of the reasons we're blacked out. They don't want the people to see the facts that we have. Now, that's fast and furious. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. It's just incredible to see them going to these links. What do you make of Predator drones being used in regular police activity and not on the borders now? You know, they've got drones up there, they say, for drug smuggling, but not for general border security. What do you make of this article out of the L.A. Times where they're using drones in the Dakotas with local police?
No. What I'm going to tell you is the absolute truth. The only reason they started using drones on the border was 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, American Border Patrol developed its own and showed that unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, could be used effectively on the border. We demonstrated it. We had our own. I won't go into all the details. We were on national television 3 times, and that's when they announced they were going to put the drones on the border. Our system cost $50,000. They went out and bought this Predator for $18 million. Then they found out the FAA wouldn't let them fly it in most of the border areas. Right? They have to fly above 19,000 feet. Their cameras work between 5,000 and 8,000 feet. They are a huge waste of money. It is a major scandal I have been following for years. Now, if you go on American Patrol and you look at the feature from yesterday, you'll see the typical aircraft that the Border Patrol uses cost them around $200 for each apprehension that they help make. They put these Predators on the border, and the former head of Customs and Border Patrol aircraft maintenance said it cost $32,000 per alien apprehension. And not $200, $32,000. It is a scandal of biblical proportions. Now, what do they do in order to justify, the Border Patrol justify buying these airplanes?
Tell you what, stay there, and then I want to get your general view on how the globalists plan to get rid of the borders, because we've been defeating them on many, many fronts. Glenn Spencer.
What happened, man? You used to be energetic.
Okay, Glenn Spencer is our guest. Decades are really exposing what's happening. The destruction of our country. Look at Europe. They're completely getting rid of their national sovereignty. Same group of banks, same groups with open borders there. And we got Mitt Romney pushing it. We've got the other presidential candidates out there with their sanctuary cities like Rick Perry. You got Newt Gingrich, who's for totally open borders, basically. Glenn, what's your view of the different Republican candidates?
Well, you know, we're a nonprofit organization. We really can't take a political stand on these situations, so I have to speak for myself. I think Michelle Bachmann has done the best job of addressing the issue, and the rest of them fall far behind. And, you know, by the way, Numbers USA, that ranks all of these candidates, agrees with it. She has the highest rating.
But what's incredible is that obviously there's 6,700,000,000 people that want to come here. They get here, and most of them get put on welfare. That's a fact. I mean, we're going bankrupt. This has destroyed us. It obviously isn't good. I mean, do they want 100 million more people? 200 million?
They don't want any borders. They don't want, the globalists don't want borders, and that's why I'm here on the U.S.-Mexico border. I don't know how long it's been since I talked to you, but we have developed, we have been testing new technology here on the border that is going to explode on the national scene here very soon. We've had it installed on the border for a year, okay? And we've had high-tech people down here, and their eyes pop open, their mouths drop open. They see what we have done. We have developed technology that will detect and count everybody crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in real time, and we can do it for less than what Boeing wasted on 50 miles in Arizona. Absolutely slam dunk. We've done it. We can do it. And now you just watch what happens when they try to cover this up. But we've got some pretty powerful people that are looking at it here in Arizona. I had a state senator here last week. She is looking at this. I've had other state senators from Arizona that are getting behind the project. We can seal that border. As a matter of fact, on AmericanBorderPatrol.com, there's a video on there. Everybody that's watched it said, oh, my gosh, because it goes into the fact that earlier this year, Rand Corporation, one of the leading think tanks in the country, came out and publicly said, our government has no idea of how many people are crossing the border. It doesn't know. It doesn't know how to count.
But then meanwhile, they've got to set up a checkpoint in the middle of the country and grab your wife's breast to make sure she's not a terrorist because it's an imminent threat. While they're shipping guns into Mexico, it shows the war on terror is a ruse to take the American citizens' rights away. It's absolutely clear. Now, Glenn, looking at this, studying Mexico and the failed state it is, if they don't control the border, where do you see this going in the next 5 years?
Oh, there's no question. What's happening is like what's happening right now in California. The new census, the new redistricting, the Republicans are going to lose like 1/3 of their seats. We're going to be outvoted, right, in our own country, all along the border. They're going to be flooding across. They're going to be taking over the cops. They're going to, be heading up the police department, heading up the local counties. All of this is going to happen to the point where you no longer have control of your border, and the crossings are going to increase tremendously.
Well, that's what I don't get. Down on Town Lake in Austin, they've got a big observation point down there. In fact, I took photos of it. I could pull it up and read the name of the observation point. Will you guys run my phone in here, please? I took photos of it 2 weeks ago, and they've got the Mexican eagle there killing an armadillo in its hands instead of a snake. And, of course, that's saying, killing Texas. And I see this art everywhere, and I'm like, I like Hispanic people, black, white, doesn't matter to me. Right. My whole issue is Mexico is a failed narco-terrorist state. Why would people who are really U.S. citizens, a lot of them, get into this whole La Reconquista, La Invasora, and want to implode like Mexico, and want to have the cops pull you over and shake you down, and want to live like that? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, here, one of the reasons we talk today, they're putting an unmanned border entry spot down in the Big Bend National Park. They're going to spend $12.5 million to build a bridge and a port of entry down there. You know how many people it will serve in Mexico? 58. There are 58